What's up, everybody? Sorry for taking so long to make this video. I know a lot of you were saying to go live when Jerome Powell was talking, when the Fed was making their comments recently. I needed a little bit of time to digest all of this information, and now that I have kind of sat on it for a little bit, I wanted to make this video to talk about what I think of the Fed's recent comments, what I think this will do to the stock market, what this will do to precious metals, how this might affect Bitcoin, all of these different things I wanted to talk about. Let's get into it. So I guess the first thing I should say is that this is all my opinion. Nothing I say here is meant to be taken as fact. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not a Series 7. Not to be taken as financial advice. This is all just my personal opinion and my take on what the Fed recently said here and how I think that will affect the stock market. I think everything they did over the last 8 months to a year is the exact opposite of what they should have done. Like, I think everything the Fed did, if they did the exact opposite, we would be a lot better off. To kind of put it into a nutshell. And I literally mean that. When I hear what Jerome's saying, at least now he's admitting that the inflation rate is going up. I think they said, 2.4% now? It used to be 2%, and they thought it was a little less than that before then. They were talking about how the dollar's very strong and the economy's looking really good and inflation rate isn't what people think it is. Well, the inflation rate of goods is going to outpace the inflation rate that is perceived by their numbers. I think the actual price of goods is going to be, we're going to be seeing higher and higher prices. I don't know about anybody else, but when I go to the gas pump recently, it costs a lot more money. Gas is getting a lot more expensive. Even when I go to like the cheaper places to get gas, it's pretty expensive right now. And I don't see that slowing down at all. See, the way that the economy is working right now, I don't buy Jerome's comments, and he's real dodgy. He's real dodgy, Jerome Powell. You know, they're trying to ask him direct questions, and he's very dodgy. He doesn't want to directly answer certain questions, and I don't blame him. Would you want to answer these questions when you know the truth? The truth is they're not going to raise the interest rates. They're scared to raise the interest rates. They would have done it. That's what they should have done, because the truth is we're not making things right now. Not only our economy, but all the economies are making far less stuff right now. So we're making less stuff. It is harder to import and export. So there's a constraint on the economy, but then you dilute it with a lot of dollars. So there's less stuff available and being made, but we're going to increase the monetary supply. And then we're going to say that the inflation rate isn't going up that much. It's going up, but not that much. And the economy is actually strong, and the unemployment rate isn't that bad. All of these things, it's a lot of smoke and mirrors, and it's really hard to accept that this is a leader making these comments, especially because they just can't speak with conviction. You ask Jerome Powell a question, he's, oh, well, I don't comment on those types of things. And, next question, it's like, you ever going to give a straight answer to the real hard questions, Jerome? Or are you just going to bounce around that stuff? Because if they really believe the dollar was going to get stronger, if they really believe the American economy was extremely strong, they would raise interest rates. But they haven't. They've kept it at zero. And if they do raise it, I think that the true colors of what's really going on would show. And I think they're very scared of that. So by hearing everything that he had to say, I have to I feel like he's bluffing. And I feel like he's not telling the whole truth. And he says, inflation rate they went from 2% to 2.4%. So they're at least showing that it's going to be a higher inflation rate. But I don't think that rate is really going to be accurate when you compare to how much goods are really going to start costing. There's less goods being made. There is less goods coming in, and other countries are making less goods right now. It's like this, all of our economies, especially the American economy, is operating off of like thin air. You know, we don't make stuff anymore. They say our economy is doing so well because our stock market is up. The stock market is up is because they diluted so many dollars and there isn't anywhere to put them other than the stock market. So the average individual and a lot of investors are putting their money in the stock market because there's such an influx of dollars. So it's like, just because our stock market is up, people think that the economy, or the Fed at least, thinks the economy is doing well and isn't as bad as people might think. However, it's all, we don't make stuff. You know, economies, we're supposed to make things. Other countries are supposed to make things. We're supposed to trade things for other things that are actually, you know, tangible, that are real. But we're not making stuff. And so this, it's like an art. How long can the circus show go on where we pretend like we're actually making stuff, but we're not? Like, how long can that actually last? That's what I wonder. At some point, the house of cards falls, and you can't just print your way into prosperity. You can't just keep printing and printing and printing and think, okay, well, now our economy's number one because we printed all of this money and our stock market is through the roof. It's like, it just doesn't, I don't buy it. And how does that relate to precious metals? How does that relate to Bitcoin? How does that relate to all the different things that I am bullish on? Well, I don't think the true colors are showing yet. And I think that they're just starting to show a glimmer. I guess that's the wrong word to use because that's like hopeful. It's so hard for me to comment on this stuff because it's really troubling, extremely troubling information. But at least there's Jerome was showing that he does believe the inflation rate is going to grow. And so he's starting to at least show a little bit of the truth. Not the whole truth, but a little bit of the truth. You know, inflation is actually going to grow. But I don't know about you guys. I think groceries are, last time I was at the grocery store, groceries are costing more money. My gas especially. Gas is where I really notice the prices of gas going up. I think that we see it in the goods prior to seeing it on their actual numbers. And they go 2% to 2.4%, and they put these little, you know, small fractions of percent up just to get people a little bit prepared for it. But I think inflation is far, far worse than expected. But the sad part, the real sad part about it is that the jobs, they say the unemployment rate isn't as bad as we would expect, something around 4%, 4 and some change on the unemployment rate. I think the aspect that they won't comment on, that the Fed won't comment on, Jerome Powell, is that jobs are deflationary. And I recently made a comment on this on my Twitter. You know, the worst, in my personal opinion, the worst thing that ever happened to humankind in our modern age, I'm talking about currently, I'm not talking about past events, I'm just talking about right now. The worst thing that ever happened to humanity is working a deflationary job that is compensated in an inflationary currency. That is, and if you didn't quite grasp that, it's extremely simple when you understand it. It's like a deflationary wage. Wages aren't going up. So, and they say unemployment isn't that bad. I think unemployment is worse than these numbers they're projecting, but they're saying it's not that bad. But I think it's actually, we're in a much worse state than what they're saying. But regardless, if you have a job, your wages might not increase. However, the dollar supply increased tremendously. So you have an inflated currency and a deflationary job. Ideally, you would want an inflationary wage and a deflationary currency that you're paid in. Now, that would be ideal. If the dollar was a deflationary currency that was getting stronger over time and your wages was increasing due to how well the economy was operating and, you know, employers paying more money, that would be ideal. That'd be the best case scenario. And that's why our money used to be back to gold and silver. That's why we had the gold standard in the United States. Our dollars were strong, and other countries really respected our dollars because they were back to precious metals. Excuse me. And we don't have that anymore. So the worst, in my opinion, the worst thing that's happening to humanity right now is the fact that we're working deflationary jobs for to be compensated in an inflationary currency. You're not being compensated in silver. You're not being compensated in gold. You're not being compensated in Bitcoin. You're being compensated in dollars that are extremely diluted and inflated. And finally, the Fed is admitting that the inflation rate is going up. Now, are they telling the whole truth on how much it's really going up? In my personal opinion, I think inflation is far worse than the numbers that they're saying, but that's just my opinion. What do I know? It was just listening to that entire the entire conversation of Jerome Powell recently. It's really troubling because he just repeats the same stuff, but he doesn't really answer the hard questions. When somebody really poses a hard question to Jerome, he just dodges it because he knows the truth. He doesn't. It seems that he just doesn't really want to say what's really going on. And I just personally don't think that economies are supposed to operate in the way that they have been. I don't think there's something off. If you say that the economy is doing better than expected, unemployment is better than expected, and inflation isn't as bad as we think, but you won't raise the interest rates, and you're increasing monetary supply. Something is off here. And which one is it? Because if this is all true, then you would raise the interest rates and you would tighten on the amount of money that is printed. That's what you would do if all of these things were true. However, we're increasing monetary supply. You're increasing the QE. Up is down, down is up. It doesn't make sense. And what I personally think it is that the inflation rate is far worse than what we're being told. And I think that they're very scared to raise the interest rates. And if they raise the interest rates, we'd have to, realize the dollar's probably going to crash. And I think they're going to do everything in their power to make sure that that things are artificially propped up. And so what does that tell me? It tells me that my personal bet on silver, my bet on platinum, my bet on Bitcoin, I couldn't have more conviction. Every time I hear Jerome Powell speak, I want more silver in my safe. Every time I hear him speak, I want more silver in my safe. I want more platinum in my safe. I want more Bitcoin in my holdings. I just don't buy the things that he's saying. And I think that, how does this relate to the stock market? Because obviously I titled this video, The Stock Market Crash of 2021. In prior videos, I talked about how I think this stimulus package is going to be a sell the news event. Because you can only artificially prop things up for so long. And the market it's at near all-time highs. It's like how much further can you artificially inflate the balloon before it pops? And I think the investors right now are realizing, hey, we've really been on the gravy train here. And it's time to take some profits because I'm really nervous about what happens next. So it's like everybody enjoys this run up on the artificial, pumping in the markets. But I think the realization happens right now. I think literally now. So this next week and the next months, coming from literally today to, next week when the market opens on Monday, I think the market either stays flat or starts to deflate. That's my personal opinion on it. I don't think the stimulus package is going to prop up the market. I don't think these stimmy checks are going to produce the tendies for the stonks I don't think that continues. Because it's only the hype can only go for so long until we realize that this economy isn't actually strong. It's just artificially inflated. We're not actually producing more stuff. We're not actually winning on trade. We just are artificially propping up our markets. That's all that's been happening. And when you're making less stuff and other countries are making less stuff and it's harder to import and export, well, you should have less monetary supply. You should have less money being printed. It doesn't make any sense what's happening right now. It doesn't make any sense. And I think eventually the smoke in the mirrors shows or goes away and we see what's actually there. and we realize we have an extremely diluted dollar. We have an economy that isn't really producing anything, and it's not going to be an easy route to prosperity coming out of all of this. I really just, that's my personal opinion on it. And I think that if we see a rise in gas prices and we're seeing the rise of commodities across the board, I don't really want to be in, I still don't want to be in the stock market. The stimulus package doesn't get me excited to want to jump into a stock. I think that we have a wildly overvalued stock market. I think that we can only for so long have price to earnings ratios that are pretty much non-existent. And how long until the truth comes out from the Fed? How long until they actually admit, okay, we're going to keep interest rates at zero because we can't face the music here. It's like this game of chicken. It's really like a game of chicken. And it's like, who's going to blink first? Who's going to blink first? Yeah, inflation rate's not that high. Yeah, the economy's doing okay. It's not as bad as you think. You know, and the unemployment rate isn't as bad as you think. Literally everything that the Fed did, I think that they should have done the opposite. I think they should have gotten tighter with the money that they print. They should have printed far less because we're producing less and other countries are producing less. And I hate to be repetitive, but I want to drive that home. And the more I think about this, I get more and more concerned. But all in all, if you've been following my channel, if you're subscribed to this channel, I hope you know that I don't flip-flop. My thesis is still the same. Even prior to them printing all of this money, my thesis was still the same. So they've increased the monetary supply ridiculous amounts. In the past year, they have printed, if you think gold has a heavy market cap, you know, at 10 trillion, they have printed more than gold's market cap in the last year. It's staggering how much money has been printed. And yet we're supposed to believe that the inflation rate is just marginally going up when our gas is now over $4 a gallon over here. Yeah, 2.4%. Sure, Powell. I don't buy it. And I don't think they're ever going to raise the interest rates. And I think all they're going to do is I think they're just going to keep playing this game of trying to artificially prop up markets. And the truth is, things are supposed to be able to fail because that's how you grow. You know, it's like they won't let companies fail that are supposed to fail. Like if you go back to 2007, they bailed out Bank of America. They should have let them go bankrupt. They shouldn't let the wealthy executives walk away with millions of dollars and then use taxpayer money to bail out GM, to bail out Bank of America. That's what they did. Last crash, in 2007, they bailed out these companies with our tax money. And then GM pretty much stole it because they never paid it back. They only paid back, I guess they sold some of the stocks. They didn't get the full amount of money back. But they want to artificially hold things up that should have been allowed to fail. Because what happens after, say, you know, GM fails, well, then Tesla emerges and they do things right. You know, or something else flourishes because that thing failed. You have to let the actual free market dictate what's going to happen. You can't just artificially inject money into the economy and then say, "Oh, we got a good economy because we artificially injected all of this money into it." Yeah, our economy's not that bad. It's pretty good. It's like, no, are you producing stuff? Are you producing more stuff? Are we doing more trading? Like, what is actually going on that makes that economy flourish? I don't see those things happening, but I see a ton more money in the supply here. It makes me more bullish than ever on precious metals and on Bitcoin. I'm not going to comment about the altcoins. I'm not going to comment about all of that stuff. Bitcoin and precious metals, I couldn't be more bullish. You can't print this stuff. And all commodities across the board are raising in prices. Gas is through the roof right now. And I think it's going to keep going up. I don't think it's slowing down anytime soon. So how long can they artificially suppress silver? How long can it be held down before the true colors show that they've printed a lot of these dollars and you're denominating silver in dollars when you're buying silver? Eventually, you have to show that the true inflation rate especially with commodities, especially with hard tangible items, because people that have silver are not willing to sell it for what silver spot price is. Just because silver spot price shows a little bit over 26 an ounce doesn't mean that I want to sell my silver for 26 an ounce. It doesn't mean that you, as the investor, want to sell your silver at 26 an ounce. You don't believe it. So we're seeing that detachment in a real way. Just like Jerome Powell doesn't say the true inflation rate, we're not seeing the true spot price of silver. So what does the physical silver market do? They say, hey, we're not going to sell you our silver at 26 an ounce. We want well over 32 an ounce for our silver, maybe more than that. And actually, I don't really want to sell it until I see the real reflection of what silver is actually worth based on how much dollars have been diluted right now. So we're actually going to hold it. I don't really want to sell it. And I think we're going to see more and more of that. But specifically with the precious metals market, I have not seen a detachment in this way. The channels on buying silver and selling silver are so constrained that I think people just want to sit on their hands and wait for the true colors to show here. That's my personal take on it. So overall, I think the stock market stays flat or starts to deflate. Because why wouldn't you want to take profits right now? You've had one of the best 8 months in stock market history. It's just gone straight up due to artificially injecting this money into the economy here. It's, in my opinion, now I missed that wave. I bought a lot of silver at the beginning of the pandemic. I bought a lot of silver. Looking back on it, I should have bought call options in Tesla and not sold mine. I should have bought them and held them. So I missed out on that huge run up. But I can tell you this much. If I did partake in this huge run up in the stock market and I was at these lofty levels and I didn't see the stock market kind of sold off over the last week with the stimulus check going through, and this is supposed to be good news for the stock market. The stock market's supposed to pump on the stimmy checks and give everybody tendies, if that's the way you're supposed to say it. All these crazy stock market terms. But we're not seeing that. We're not seeing that at all. We're seeing it it's going down, kind of fizzling out here. That's very scary. And if I was an investor that just enjoyed huge gains in the stock market over the past year, 8 months, I'd be looking to take that money out and put it in my business. I'd be looking to take that money out and put it into, silver, put it into gold, put it into platinum, put it into Bitcoin, put it into real estate. Although real estate's at all-time highs pretty much right now. Real estate is just so expensive, it's ridiculous because people want to protect their assets. They want to protect their savings. And realistically, it's I want to be careful with the words that I choose because I can't say exactly what I want to say because then it wouldn't be PG, but it's like savings are deflationary in this environment where they're paying like no interest for your money. So you're giving a bank a free loan for them to just hold on to your money. Meanwhile, they are inflating that currency that you are saving. So savings are getting burned away. If you are saving money in the dollar, it is getting burned and burned away while the Fed is injecting dollars into the circulating supply, the monetary supply. So it's just the most wrong thing I can think of to do to humanity right now in this current modern age, to be have savings that are deflationary, jobs that are deflationary, but have a currency supply that is inflationary. So you are saving a currency that is getting injected and inflated while that savings is deflationary and you're not getting compensated for that. So if the interest rates of the bank was like 10% or something, and I remember when I was a kid, CDs would be like 6.5, 7.5%. I'm sure a lot of people in this live stream can remember that when our savings would pay you a large amount of money for your interest, but now they don't give you anything. So you have deflationary savings if it's in dollars and a deflationary job that, it's hard for right now. It's hard for an employer to pay more money right now in this environment. It's a tough economy to be making money in right now. So wages are deflationary. Savings are deflationary if it's held in dollars, and the dollar currency that it's getting paid in and being saved, the job is being paid in this currency. The savings are in this currency is getting inflated. It's so backwards. It's so backwards. And meanwhile, guys like Jamie Dimon and all these big banks are grinning ear to ear because they get to do whatever they want with all of this free money, all of this injected money into the supply. They're getting free loans from us. Where do you put that $1,400 check? Well, you deposit it into your bank. Actually, now they just digitally boop it into your bank account. Just go boop, $1,400. But you didn't actually get $1,400 in silver that landed on your doorstep, or $1,400 in gold that landed on your doorstep. You got digitally booped money on a digital screen that isn't even blockchain based, that you're just supposed to believe that $1,400 is in your Chase Bank app or wherever you bank for your commercial bank. But who really has that money? Well, the banks have that money, and they can do whatever they want with it. They can be giving out loans on it at 8% or whatever they're giving their loans out for. They can be using it in the stock market. They can use that $1,400 to their advantage. And you got to remember, it's a lot more than that. It's your $1,400, but it's all of those injected, everyone's $1,400 injected into the banking system. So who really stands to benefit from this? The big banks. Of course they stand to benefit from this. It makes me start to shake a little bit, especially when you listen to Jerome Powell speak for a while, because he just doesn't, it's like, this is a world leader, this is the leader of the Fed, and he just dodges questions, doesn't answer things, doesn't tell the whole truths of things. And this is just my personal opinion, But overall, the last thing I would want to do is being invested in an economy that is operating off pixie dust. That's the last thing I'd want to do. The idea of Graham's laws, the Graham's principles, the way that Warren Buffett invests in companies, it's like you can't even do it in this market. Like, how many price to earnings ratios actually make sense? How many companies have a viable business that is actually producing profits that make sense on the price to earnings ratios? It's like, we're just buying stocks like they're collectibles. Like, let's be real. If you're buying Tesla stock right now, and I'm a big fan of Tesla, I love Tesla's cars. I'm a big fan of them. It doesn't mean that the stock isn't a collectible at this point. The stock, the price to earnings ratio, they made more money off their Bitcoin investment than they made off selling cars in their entire existence. Yeah, excuse me, but you're not making an investment, you're holding a collectible. That's what our stock market has become. And it's a sad thing, because I look around the stock market, and you're hard pressed to find something that is genuinely undervalued, and that the profits month to month or quarter to quarter is going to exceed what their current valuation is. So you go, okay, I think that they're going to be a good investment over the next 10 years. It makes sense. But the pricing, there's companies with price to earnings ratios that are just non-existent. It's just priced purely as a collectible, in my opinion. It's like you're buying NFTs. It's like you're buying Tesla stock, you're buying an NFT. It's like, it's just pixie dust money, and it's just this hype bubble. So I think that my personal take on it is, I think the dollar crashes and stocks stay the same or go up. If the stock market goes up, I think the dollar will crash. So if you have a stock that's at 1,000, let's say the stock that you have goes from 500 to 1,000 and doubles, I think the dollar will cut in half and crash. So you see the stock market go up, but the denominator is actually dropping in value. So it's actually going down when you see it going up. And I think that's already happening. We just don't really see it on the dollar index yet. So the stock market is being propped and staying flat or going slightly up. The dollar crashes underneath it, or the stock market shows that people don't want to invest in an economy that is just operating off of speculation and hype, and it starts crashing on by itself with a dollar that's diluted on top of that, which just makes matters worse. 2007 was a housing bubble. 2021, I think, is a currency bubble. And that's a lot more serious of an issue than a housing bubble. I think the currency itself is in a bubble. But now it's like, if gold was like a needle for the balloon of fiat currency, Bitcoin and everything going on in the digital realm and companies converting their treasuries into Bitcoin, that's like an Olympian throwing a javelin at the fiat currency bubble. It's like a lot more than the needle that gold was, I think. And there's just so much seeing actual companies to think in our minds. Take apart from, I have a bias towards Bitcoin. I hold Bitcoin. But take that out of the situation here and just look at Bitcoin like it's just crazy internet money, right? Really wrap your mind, whether you're for or against Bitcoin, wrap your mind around the fact that a US company like MicroStrategy, like Tesla, is more confident in the internet funny money. Let's call it internet funny money. You know that I'm a fan of Bitcoin, but let's just say that I'm negative on Bitcoin. Let's say that I don't agree with Bitcoin. The idea that companies want to convert their treasuries to the tune of billions of dollars into Bitcoin instead of holding it in dollars should make you very scared to be holding that currency. You know, if it is to think that MicroStrategy and the geniuses that run that company would go, actually, I think the crazy internet money is a better choice than the dollars. Yeah, that's a scary thing, regardless if you're for or against Bitcoin. It shows the true lack of trust in the dollar. If the companies that are US based are going, yeah, I would rather have the internet crazy money than the crazy money printed by them. I would rather have that. That's what scares me. And so there might be some outliers in the stock market that convert their treasuries in time, buy assets with their treasuries in time, so that when you see a stock market collapse, say the stock market collapse, there's going to be possibly some really good buys, possibly some really good buys where they parked all these diluted dollars into good assets. And so when the dust settles, there might be some really good opportunities in the market. But right now, I don't want to buy at peak hype, at peak money printing when they should have been printing less money, when we're producing less than ever. That's not the time I want to be buying into this economy. But it goes back to that argument of we need to let things fail. You can't just artificially inject money into economy and not let it fail, not let companies like Bank of America in 2007 not go bankrupt. It's like, no, let them fail. They deserve to fail. Bank of America in 2007 deserved to fail. GM deserved to fail in 2007. These companies that got bailed out, they deserve to fail. And so that's how we grow, is by things failing. And the Fed they're just not willing. It's like kids that get caught stealing and they just don't want to own up to it. They just don't want to admit that they got caught stealing. And the Fed doesn't want to admit that the economy really isn't as strong as they're saying, that the inflation rate is a lot higher than they're saying of 2.4%. The dollar is so strong, like Janet Yellen says. I don't buy the comments that they're saying. And it turns out a lot of big companies don't buy it either. A lot of institutional money doesn't buy it either. And they're looking to take the dollars and play hot potato with these dollars and put them somewhere safe. And so I think silver, platinum, Bitcoin, gold, real estate, if you can find real estate that's at a reasonable price, I think all of those things are great places to go. I think trying to start your own business right now with all of this money that's just injected into the economy, trying to start a business, getting into real estate, getting into holding precious metals, getting into Bitcoin, there isn't a better time, in my opinion, to be in those places. Now, I hold the bias because that's where I am. I'm building my business. I'm into precious metals. I'm into Bitcoin, and I'm trying to get into real estate as well. But right now, the more I study the real estate market, real estate's a tough one right now, but it's better than holding dollars. It's better than holding dollars. It just is, regardless if you're for or against Bitcoin. I'm going to reiterate this, and then we're going to go over some Q&A right now and get all the questions in here. I think that in the process of time, we're just going to see people taking profits in the market. I don't think that our economy can keep pretending like it's thriving off of injecting fake money into it. I just don't believe it. I don't buy it. And did I miss out over the last 8-9 months of the economy appearing to be skyrocketing in our stock market? Yeah, I missed out. And am I bitter about it? Yeah, I am. I could have made a lot more money going into the stock market about 8-9 months ago when the first crash happened. I happen to think that I'm like, oh, well, the writing's on the wall. They're finally going to have to own up to it. That's what I first thought. But then they injected all this money and they printed a ridiculous amount of money in these stimulus packages. And realistically, if you take it apart, you had $1,200 and $1,400, right? So you got $2,600 over a year. Over an entire year, that's how much the government cares. Seems pretty rough for the trade-off when you consider how much the politicians were getting paid over that period of time. So $2,600, what's that amount to? Like $200 a month? $250 a month? Something like that? No, less than that. That's pretty wild when you take it apart in that way. Like literally $1, less than $1 a day for having our entire economy shut down, all of the businesses getting shut down, $1 a day or something less than that. It's kind of wild. It's kind of wild. $1 is $1 a day? No, I'd have to take $10 a day or something, $9. Regardless, it's like it's such a it's not right, the amount of money that got sucked away. If the citizens actually got the entire amount directly injected to them, they would have gotten a lot more than $2,600. A lot more than that over this period of time that we've been shut down. But instead, we get a Fed that pretends like the inflation rate isn't what it really is, that pretends the economy is thriving when it's not, and all of these things while they're injecting money when they should have been deflating the money. They should have been putting less money into the supply because we're making less stuff. If you're making more stuff, you can have more money. But if you're making less stuff, you need to have less money. But what they did at the Fed, when they're supposed to actually act like, adults and make good decisions, when we had less stuff, they injected more money. When other countries had less stuff and were not able to import and export, we injected more money as the reserve currency of the world. Other countries look to the US dollar for, some place of sanity, but we're not showing any sanity. It actually is the definition of insanity. If you do the same thing over and over again and expect a different result, that's the definition of insanity. And what are they doing at the Fed? The same thing over and over and over again. Inject more money, inject more money, inject more money. Pretend like the inflation rate isn't that bad. Inject more money, inject more money. The printer go brr, That's the definition of insanity. They're doing the same thing and expecting a different result, like the economy is just going to suddenly be fine. That's my personal opinion on it. Overall, to summarize it and to relate it to the stock market, I wouldn't be in the stock market with a 10-foot pole right now. I have 0 stocks. That's how many stocks I hold, 0. I'm not shorting the market either. I'm not shorting anything. I'm not long anything in the stock market. I'm just out of it. And I want to, at this day and age, I want to park my money in a safe place so that when the opportunity is there in the market, if the market corrects, I have my money in a safe place where then I can take that money and then put it into investments that I think are undervalued and valued at their real valuations, not these artificially hyped numbers. So that's my play right now. Just to share with my entire audience, everybody that subscribes to this channel, everybody that hits the like button and helps this channel grow, I want to share what I'm actually doing with you. And what I'm doing is just putting my money in places that I think will appreciate over time, which is silver, which is platinum, which is gold, which is Bitcoin, putting in precious metals in Bitcoin, storing it there, and waiting for what happens next. If the dollar dilutes, if the dollar index crashes and the dollar goes down, well, my silver will be worth a lot more money. Just because they can print their dollars doesn't mean that they could print my silver. So my silver is going to cost a ton more dollars if the dollar crashes in half. All of the assets that I hold will be worth a lot more money if it's valued in fiat. If it's valued in dollars, my silver is going to be through the roof if the dollar crashes. Same thing with Bitcoin. Same thing with all precious metals and Bitcoin would skyrocket in the case where the dollar crashed. I don't think that the dollar crashing would take that down with it. I think the stock market crashing could have a temporary pullback in metals if it trades parallel. Ideally, you'd see them separate, which I hope we see that over the near future, that the metals prices separates from the stock market. Like the stock market pulls back, say Dow falls 500 points, but metals goes up that day. That'd be a very bullish signal in my opinion, and I'm watching for that very close. Those are all the things that I'm doing. And I hope that after watching my channel for as long as you have, if you've been subscribed to the channel. If you're not subscribed, what are you waiting for? Click that red subscribe button down below. It's totally free to do it. If you click the bell and all notifications, you'll be notified of all future live streams. Kind of do these impromptu live streams and post a lot of content on the channel. Would love to have you as a subscriber. Again, it is totally free to just click that subscribe, and it really does help me grow. We're almost at 15,000 subscribers. We're almost at 15,000 subscribers on the channel. So to the Silver Squirrel Nation in here. We're almost at 15,000 subscribers. That's crazy. So thank you everybody so much for your support in helping this channel grow. That's just insane to me to see almost 15,000 subscribers, and we might break through that in the very near future. I think we're at like 14,930 last time I checked, somewhere around that range. So if you can help me get to 15,000 subscribers, if you want to share my content, bring some friends over to the channel, I'd love to have you as a subscriber. It's totally free to subscribe. You just click the red subscribe. Help me get to 15,000 subscribers. Would really appreciate it. If there's some value in these videos, I really don't like to flip flop. You won't see me make a video saying the stock market's going to the moon and the next week say, oh, the stock market's going to crash. I hope you know from the day I started this YouTube until now that I stay consistent, and I don't change just based on what the hype is saying. And I needed a few days to really listen to Powell speak and hear all the different points of view. And I got it. My hat's off to Peter Schiff, because he's the only person I hear commenting on Powell and the Fed that makes a ton of sense. So my hat's off. I don't agree with you with Bitcoin. They're all of that, but you got to show respect where respect's due. His recent podcast he just dropped that people aren't buying into what the Fed is saying. Great podcast. Great podcast, Peter. And I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. Now, do I think you're getting to play both sides of the fence here with your son in Bitcoin, and that you're in gold and you're pretending like he's against you, but he's really for you? Sort of. Now that's a topic for another conversation. But I think that's genius. I think that they're kind of in cahoots with each other, in my personal opinion. Just my opinion, not to be taken as fact. Just my opinion. But that recent podcast that he dropped, he was the only reaction to the Fed where he goes, "Oh, somebody makes sense. Somebody makes sense in this world. Thank you for that." So I listened to that podcast, and it was a very good one that you recently dropped. And I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. And eventually, the truth has to show. The truth has to show with what's really going on at the Fed and what they really plan to do in the future. And I think they can only keep the smoke and mirrors up for so long. So I hope that there's some value in this content for you. Again, I'd love to have you a subscriber. If you could smash that like button. I know I say it every video and it's annoying, but if we got 400 some odd people in here, if we could all smash that like button, we'd really appreciate it. And if we got this, if the like counter goes up, I'll stop talking about it. But I'll even bust out my fancy pillow. Please help that like button get smashed. Take out the frustrations on the like button, because if you hit the like button, this content will get recommended to people that are viewing this type of content. And eventually our word gets out. You know, more word about silver, more word about precious metals gets out to the public, and they realize the truth behind these statements at the Fed, or at least my personal opinion on it. If it resonates with you, would really appreciate you helping this content get out to more people. You know, to a lot of people, I might sound like I don't know what I'm talking about, and you know, what do I know? What do I know? But at least I don't dodge the questions like Powell does. You know, if someone brings up a comment in there, I don't limit any of the comments. I don't have any moderators. All of the live stream comments in here, they're all anything goes, because the truth be told, when I'm rambling in here, the real knowledge is not just what I'm talking about, but also what everybody's talking about in the live streams over here. If you look at these comment sections, we got some really, really intelligent people in the community. So when you're subscribed to this channel, know that it's not just me. And I ramble, I talk a lot. I guess I like to hear my own voice a lot. But to everybody that's in the live streams, there's some very, very intelligent individuals in there dropping some serious facts. Sometimes I'll rewatch my own live stream just to watch the comments in real time, because I miss them when I'm talking on the live stream. Otherwise, I'll just be looking over here the whole time. But there is flip the hour glass for like. So we're over 30 minutes, huh? 43 minutes. All right. We'll stay. What time is it? 43 minutes we're up. I'm trying to do these about an hour and a half. I always say that, and they're like 2-hour live streams, because let's face it, I love you guys. Rob, the water. All right. I'll get some water. See this? My community cares about me. They're like, he's getting delirious. He's been talking too much. We don't want him to faint. Drink some water. I love you guys too. All right. I feel better now. Thank you for looking after me. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you guys. And by the way, silverbacks and squirrels, we're family. We get along. We love each other. We're silverbacks, the silverback gorillas, and the Wall Street silver movement. I love you guys. Nothing but support from me. Nothing but support from me, and I appreciate the amount of eyeballs that are getting into silver now. Because let's face it, if there's one precious metal to get into, it's silver. Gold's great. Gold's great. Other precious metals are great, but silver, so wildly undervalued, affordable for the layman, affordable for the people that, don't have a ton of money to afford precious metals. It's an affordable metal, extremely undervalued, and used tremendously in industry. If there was one precious metal out there, it's just silver. Silver is the way to go. And you guys know me, silver is my number one position. And that goes back into the conversations about conviction and why I'm so big on silver. I'm big on Bitcoin. I'm big on platinum as well. And I have a good amount of gold. I'd say that I don't hold that much gold, but I have a good amount of gold. Silver is my number one for a reason. Excuse me. But honestly, silver right now, in my opinion, I think it should be minimum 3 digits. Minimum. But it's not. Excuse me. It's on a fire sale. And if there's anything that shows you, just like inflation might be 5-6%, maybe more than that, when they're saying 2.4% at the Fed, it is relevant to, or is similar to, the way that even though silver is showing 26 an ounce, it doesn't mean you in the audience that's holding your silver is willing to sell it to me at 26 an ounce. Because if you are, I got millions for you to buy your. I'll get as much. I'll take out as many loans as possible to buy your silver at spot. But you're not going to do that, and I would not suggest for you to sell me your silver at spot, because it is wildly undervalued. That spot price doesn't reflect what the actual price of silver is. Just like their 2.4, analysis of inflation doesn't reflect the true inflation rate, that we're paying a ton more money for our groceries and we're paying a ton more money for our gas. Their 2.4% doesn't reflect the true inflation rate, just like the $26 an ounce doesn't reflect the true silver price for physical silver. It's very similar in that way. Silver's just so undervalued. I couldn't be more bullish. On silver. There's a reason why it is the largest position by a lot of the positions that I have is silver. So that's my personal opinion on it. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not a Series 7. I'm not to be taken as financial advice. Disclaimer. But that's how I feel about it. Now, that being said, I like Bitcoin. I think being able to you need a physical storage of wealth, and you also need a digital storage of wealth, in my personal opinion. So by me being bullish on Bitcoin, I have no upside in that. I mean, I don't affect it. My word doesn't affect a $1 trillion marketplace of Bitcoin. I don't sell you Bitcoin, so it doesn't give me anything to say that Bitcoin is very unique. But I just think that in the digital realm, it's very special. And to see, the main thing for me is whether you're for or against Bitcoin, that a company like MicroStrategy, Michael Saylor's company, is willing to park $5 billion and not sell this. They would rather have $5 billion of this crazy internet money than dollars. So if you're holding dollars, that should be very scary. A company with shareholders to impress would rather have this internet crazy money than dollars. Wild. And you're going to see, I think Tesla will be saying a lot more than 1.5 billion of their treasury. The thing is, it's a game of hot potato. You're not going to want to sit on the cash, because if you're sitting on cash and they got, I think it's like 15 to $20 trillion, not trillion, 15 to $20 billion in their treasury at Tesla, you got to do something with that, because that is a deflationary asset. It's a deflationary savings, not an asset. It's a deflationary savings, while you have the currency itself inflating. So that is a terrible place to be. Holding dollars is like, if it was, I think it was like Grant Cardone and Robert Kiyosaki and a lot of these guys that say, cash is trash. You don't want to hold cash. That was before printing the 10 trillion plus. Now cash is really trash. Like if it was trash before, now it's really trash. Now it's really rough. Super rough. Scant City says, love how you put everything in simple reality. Yeah, I really appreciate that, Scant City. Thank you for the super chat, man. I didn't miss any super chats, right? I'm trying to get to, I don't like missing a super chat. I do that on occasion. But I really appreciate that, man. Thank you. And that's what I try to do. It's like I'm not an economist, you know, I'm not a Series 7, I'm not a financial advisor, but I try my best to simplify things for people just like us, you know, just to simplify it and get the information out there to the audience and to all of us in the group, because this community has done wonders for me and I really appreciate you all. It's humbling seeing how much the channel has grown from where, I mean, I started the channel in July of 2020, so it hasn't even been a year yet. I think it's been almost 9 months now. So for it to grow into what it is now and all the support that I've gotten, I thank you guys so much. And all I can do is just do these live streams and be able to just speak what's on my mind. And to some, I might sound like, you know, like I'm crazy or something, you know, but I hope that I'm able to simplify these things so that you can do your own research. And don't take my word for it. Do your own research. Look into the past statements from the Fed. Look into all of these things. How much money was printed? What was the supply of dollars, you know, prior to 2020? How much dollars was printed prior to 2020 and how much did they print from 2020 to 2021? Do this research yourself and then come back to these videos and see, after you do your own research, if I was speaking the truth or not. It's just a very scary time that we're living in, where the Fed, the people that we're supposed to trust with our currency, is doing the exact opposite of what they're supposed to be doing in times like these. They're doing the exact opposite. And the fact that these politicians got paid for this entire time that it took them to figure out how to get us $1,400, and then they actually funneled away a ton of the money from these stimulus packages to places that, you know, doesn't directly help our citizens. It's just sad. It's sad because who picks up the bill? Regardless of how that money is spent, who picks up the bill? You and I do. You and I do. We pick up the bill. And how far can that deficit really grow? You know? You can put the best businessman in the world in charge of things, and they can't fix this. They can't fix this. They've printed too much. They've kicked the can way too far down the road. And Yellen and Powell, they don't want to own up to their mistakes. They don't want to own up to their flaws. They're like a kid that gets caught stealing and doesn't want to admit that they got caught stealing. You know, did you take the cookies out of the cookie jar, Jerome? No, I didn't take the cookies out of the cookie jar. I didn't do it. It's like, Jerome, did you take the cookies out of the cookie jar? Yellen, did you take the cookies out of the cookie jar? No. And there's this cookie all over their faces. You know, it's like, no, we didn't do it. No. You took the cookies out of the cookie jar. And you know, sorry, that's too much. That's too much. But that's how I feel about it. Can you shout out Revenant Times? Revenant Times, shout out Revenant Times. Appreciate that. Thank you for the super chat. You got it. Yeah, it really is. We got bingo players that eat cookies out of the cookie jar. We speak in like, these are our own terms, the Silver Squirrel terms. Yeah. If you want to talk about simplifying things, if you want help with my simplifications of things, it's political figures are bingo players, and they eat cookies out of the cookie jar, and they pretend like they didn't eat cookies out of the cookie jar. So just imagine bingo players with cookie all over their face, and that's how I see our politicians, and that's why I have the Banksy with the monkeys of parliament here. That's how I see them. If I had my own, if somebody could make me that design, that'd be great. Like bingo players with cookie all over their face, Cookie Monster bingo players. You can tell I'm not very college educated. It's a problem, but that's how I feel about that situation. But that would make a great T-shirt, you know. Cookie Monster bingo players, running the show. JJ Stackin, appreciate the $5, man. He says inflation is theft. I agree. especially when the wages are deflationary. That's what, if you haven't followed me on Twitter yet, someone took the Rob Sultan name on Twitter. I got that on Instagram, which I'm very stoked about. If you're not following me on Instagram, at Rob Sultan on Instagram, that's my Instagram, and I post a lot of exclusive stuff over there, kind of behind the scenes stuff, like stories about this watch, for example. People think my watch is this gaudy watch, and it is, but they don't know the kind of story of why I specifically have this one. That's kind of post that I make on my Instagram, at Rob Sultan on Instagram. But one of the things I recently wrote on Twitter is that the biggest crime on humanity, in my personal opinion, this is my personal opinion, and I'm not talking about the biggest crime since the beginning of the beginning of humanity. I'm talking about right now in our modern time. So take that out of your minds. I know that this is what some people might take the wrong viewpoint on it, but when I'm saying about current modern times, the biggest crime on current humanity is deflationary wages, having a deflationary wage that is paid in an inflationary currency is the biggest crime on humanity, in my personal opinion, in today's day and age, because you are working for money that is diluted and being inflated, while the wages that you're working to get that inflationary currency is not going up. You're not getting, ideally in a good economy, you'd have employers that are doing extremely well and want to compensate their employees to grow their company and get the best of the best. You want that competition. You want to get the best employees to work for your company, so you're going to pay them more money. So their wages in that scenario would be inflationary. And then you would want a currency that is actually trusted and backed to a gold standard like it used to be. Or, like Bitcoin, it's only at 21 million Bitcoin that can be made, so it's actually finite. So it's a deflationary currency, Bitcoin, deflationary asset, Bitcoin. You would want the dollar to be like that, but it isn't, because we got people that eat cookies from the cookie jar that are in charge, and they just inflate and inflate away, and that's the money that we're being paid in. This is the money that we're saving. We should be able, and this is on the record here, we should be able, just like you can devalue properties in a way, you should be able to take the losses that we accumulated, major losses in the dollars in our savings based on them overprinting. So we should be able to take that out of our taxes. You should be able to say, whoa, you diluted my savings. You diluted my savings account, my 401k and everything, because you guys overprinted the currency. So that should be a deduction. We should be allowed to deduct how much you diluted the currency supply. That should be a deduction for our savings that have been damaged, that we're getting paid no money through the banks that are taking advantage of us. They don't give us any inflation. Even if they say inflation is 2.4%, in my opinion, it's not. It's a lot more than that. But say it even was 2.4%. Find me a bank that can beat the inflation rate. Find me a bank in the U.S. that can beat the inflation rate that Jerome Powell just said. And that's way less than what it really is, in my personal opinion. But still, try to find me a single bank in the United States that will pay you over 2.4% to store your capital there. And if that is not proof of inflation, if that is not proof that the dollar is diluted and there is no way to actually protect your savings if you're holding it in dollars, I don't know what does. I don't know what does, because there isn't a bank that'll pay you 2.4%. There isn't one. And meanwhile, the inflation rate is actually a lot worse than that, in my personal opinion. So that really, that's a way to simplify it, is like, find me a bank that'll pay more than even the low end of the inflation that Jerome Powell just stated. And they don't want to admit that. Trust me, they don't want to admit the inflation rate is going up from 2% to 2.4%. They don't want to admit that, but they did. I don't know a bank that would pay that much. It's sickening. It's sickening. So why would you want to keep your money in dollars? So all the companies, hang on, there was another super chat. I didn't want to miss that one. Scant City says, I have more silver than crypto. Silver is money. Crypto is a casino. I also love playing. We need to understand a foundation versus gambling. When it comes to all the altcoins and it comes to all that stuff, I agree with you. And I hold more silver than anything else for that reason. I'm still extremely skeptical of the crypto market, less skeptical of Bitcoin, especially because I've seen the adoption that I want to see. I would rather be late. Like, just like, no, Bitcoin jumped from 3,000 to nearly 60,000 where it is now. I would rather get in Bitcoin around 30,000. Now, I got lucky. I got in before that, but I'd rather get in at 30,000 after seeing Tesla buy 1.5 billion, after seeing Michael Saylor convert his treasury to Bitcoin. I would want to buy then rather than take the gamble at 3,000, if that makes sense, because I can buy with real conviction after I see somebody else, you know, or some sort of adoption happening in that marketplace. So I wouldn't have as much conviction in Bitcoin if I didn't see Grayscale, if I didn't see Cash App buying more, Square buying more Bitcoin, Michael Saylor buying more Bitcoin, Elon Musk buying into Bitcoin. If I didn't see that, then I wouldn't have as much conviction as I do now. But when it comes to, like, people are saying, oh, Cardano, ADA got put on Coinbase, now is the time. What happened? It sold off. You know, there's a lot of, you know, buy the rumor, sell the news type stuff in the altcoin game, and I don't see real adoption yet. And I would rather be late and get in after major adoption. Like, say, just this didn't happen, just say that this did happen. Say ADA gets picked up by Amazon, or Apple wants to start using XRP or something. Then I'd go, okay, bullish. But I don't see that yet. And so, yeah, I agree that everything else is really a casino. And Bitcoin really is, right now, a very big speculation. Silver, it's a true foundation. Silver is really a foundation. So I really agree with you. I really agree with you. And there's honestly, my portfolio reflects that I agree with you. So it's not like me flip-flopping or anything. It's like my portfolio stayed the same. And if there's anything from being a subscriber to this channel, if you're a subscriber to my channel, if you watch my content, I hope that you see that I don't waver. And the real money to be made is when you actually have conviction. When you really have conviction for the trade. You really believe in the thing that you're buying. That's when you can make some serious money. I would rather make 20% a year on something I have extreme conviction on than make, you know, a 10x return on something that I'm really nervous about. So say you have this Cardano, right? This is the new talk of the town. Oh, Coinbase is accepting Cardano and this is the big thing, ADA. I cannot put $1 million into ADA and sleep at night, but I can put $1 million into silver and sleep at night. Now, could ADA get me a 10x return? Possibly. Could it also lose half its value in one day? Absolutely. That couldn't happen to silver in my eyes. So I would sleep like a baby at night with $1 million in silver, but I wouldn't be able to, I'd be checking my phone and that's what makes it even worse. You know, at least the silver market, you know, it shuts down once in a while. The crypto market, we're just up. I don't know about you guys. We're up at 2 a.m. going, wait. It fell 500. Oh, it's up 500. Oh, it's down 500. Oh, it's up 500. Oh, down 500. It's like the crypto market. I think Coinbase is responsible for more insomnia than anything in the world right now. The crypto market across the world is responsible for a new crisis of insomniacs across the world. It's like, it's crazy. It's crazy. But I do agree with that comment on crypto being a casino. Byte Hunter just gave $4.99. You didn't even have a question or anything. Byte Hunter, thank you so much for that. Appreciate it. People getting rich and people getting poor. You know, I really think right now is just the ultimate thing on this video. If there's one thing I wanted to state from this, and by the way, okay, how about this? You guys say like, oh, I'll flip the thing and we'll go for another 30 minutes if I get to 300 likes. If I get to 300 likes within the next, say, I don't know, however long, I'll flip the thing and we'll go for another 30 minutes. Otherwise, I got to cut these a little bit short, around an hour, 30 minutes. But if we get to 300 likes on the like counter, we'll stay live and we'll talk with each other here. James, don't make me, because I don't do a moderator, James. I don't make a moderator. Don't make me have to hide your comments or whatever. I don't want to have to do that. I really don't like doing a moderator thing, but one comment is, I saw the comment. You don't got to take over the whole forum board and share with everybody else. You don't need to say the same thing 50 times, but I'll click it. I'll click it and make you not be able to comment on there. I can do that. So Be cool. Be cool. Scant City says, I agree. A foundation. I really appreciate that, man. Thank you. Says Scant City says, I agree. A foundation is needed. Made a good bunch of ADA I bought 2 years. Wow. Congratulations. Congratulations. You crushed it on that. Made a good bunch of ADA I bought 2 years ago. I watch you because you are real. I didn't know ADA and Coinbase. Thought Ravencoin was next on Coinbase. No, ADA actually just went out on Coinbase. Cardano just went on Coinbase. I think it was yesterday. So congratulations on getting in early like that. You did really well on ADA if you got in 2 years ago. Congratulations, man. I'm not in any altcoins right now. And the main thing I wanted to say on that is I might, like in that scenario, I missed out on that. You scored, Scant City. You scored. Getting in 2 years ago on ADA, you did very well. Congratulations, man. I am not willing to, to me, I want to see major adoption of an altcoin prior to me getting in on it. So do I miss out on that huge gain that you got? Am I jealous? Absolutely. Am I jealous? 100% I'm jealous. Super jealous seeing if you got in that early on it. But at the same time, I have to, at this stage of the game, I have to buy things with conviction that I think have a major adoption in some way. You know, if I heard like Kathy Wood and ARK Invest was like, hey, we just bought, $1 billion position in ADA. Or Michael Saylor came out and said, hey, MicroStrategy decided to put a 5% position of our Bitcoin holdings into ADA because we really believe in the technology and it getting adopted by this, and that. Then I would go, okay, I'm in. If that makes sense. So I miss out on that huge gain in the beginning by taking the gamble, taking the risk, but I can buy with conviction because I believe in it that much more strong when it gets adopted. So that kind of comes down to, could I risk 10 grand on Cardano? Yeah, I could. Would it affect my life if I lost it? No, it wouldn't. Absolutely, it would bum me out. But I'm not willing to take a risk of, say, $100,000 on Cardano or an ADA because I don't see the adoption that I want to see. And so if I made 200% on, say, 10 grand, I would make, what would that turn in? 20, 30 grand. So you make a good profit on that, but I would rather make 20% on $1 million in silver. So I needed a 200% gain on 10 grand to turn it into 20 grand or 30 grand. So to 2x it from 10, 20, 30. So 200%, but I only need 20% on $1 million to make 200,000. So I'd rather buy silver and sleep at night with conviction and make the 200,000 on it going up 20%, say, and I think it'll go up a lot more than that in the next year. But let's say 20% and set the bar low. I would rather make that 200 grand, buy with conviction, sleep well at night, than just keep my money parked and scared to invest because it's kind of more of a riskier play. I hope that makes some sense. I don't want to get too off topic, but that conviction mentality, buying things with conviction, is something it's taken me a long time to hone in over time. Like if you learn the art of compounding money, how fast money compounds is staggering. For example, if you take a penny, and this is crazy when you realize it. All you have to do is take out your calculator, and you can take out your calculator on your phone, right? This will blow your guys' mind. If you take out the calculator on your phone and you put 1 penny, so 0.01, 1 penny, and you multiply that penny by going up, you want it to double, right? So you multiply that by 2. And so every time you double it, now you got 2 pennies, right? If you do this 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. If you multiply it 30 days, if you turn 1 penny, if you took a penny out and you said, if I double this penny for 30 days, what do you think it'll be worth? 1 penny doubled every day for 30 days. You would have $5,368,000 off of a penny doubling every day for 30 days. Now, are you going to be able to find something that doubles every day for 30 days straight? No. Then you'd be, the savage of Wall Street. But it just goes to show you how much compounding money really adds up. One penny doubled every day for 30 days turns into $5+ million. So it just kind of explains the wonders of compounding your money. And that type of compounding happens on smaller percentages too. If you're able to hit 2% a month, you're going to compound your money quick. You're going to compound your money quick. If you can hit 10% a month, you're going to really compound. But it really does add up. Compound interest is a very, very incredible thing. It is true. It is true. I actually had to do it on my own calculator myself. If you put 1 cent, so 0.01 on your calculator, multiply it by 2, so you're doubling it. 0.01, multiply it by 2, and click equals 30 times. You have $5.3 million. It's real. Rob, 250, not 300. You want me to stay live for another 30 minutes? I mean, it's a long time, these 30 minutes. We're at 233 likes. What did I say? I'll stay live for another 30 minutes and flip the timer if we get to 300 likes. We got 396 viewers in here. So I think getting to 300 likes is very possible here. I think it's very possible here. So I don't want to sound like, some webcam Twitch person or whatever, Hit the like button and I'll flip the counter over here. But if we're at 250 likes, so we're pretty close. We got 396 people in here. So for 50 more people to hit the like button, I will stay live for another 30 minutes if you guys want me to do that. You hit the like button and we get it to 300 likes, 260. Wow, they're making me put my money where my mouth is. Another 30 minutes on here. I'll do it if we get there. We're almost there. 264. 300 likes, I'll do it. 300 likes, I'll do it. We'll flip the timer and we'll stay here for another 30 minutes. But hit that like button. We're at 271, 277. Oh, it's happening. It's happening. We're going to stay live, guys. We got to pick a new topic. Then if we're going to stay here for another 30 minutes. We went over everything here. You guys really make me put my money where my mouth is here. It's happening. We got 284. Oh, we're almost there. I'm going to have to stay. I'll stay live until the timer runs out again. That's a 30-minute sand dial right there. We'll do it for another 30 minutes. 15 more likes and we'll get there. We're almost there. And honestly, by hitting the like button, you're getting more viewers in here as well. So it kind of helps this information get out to more people. And if you want to be subscribed to the channel, we're pretty close to 15,000 subscribers here. We're less than 100 people away from 15,000 subscribers. So if there's 100 people of the 400 here that are in the group in this live stream, if you could subscribe to the channel, you will get this channel to 15,000 subscribers. And that's a big milestone for me. So I'd really appreciate it if you click the subscribe. It is totally free to click the subscribe, and we'd love to have you in the community. So please help me get to 15,000 subscribers. I'd really appreciate it. 4 likes away from 300. All right. I'll count it. I think that's pretty much 300. 297. You guys win. You got it. Truth be told, I'm humbled that you guys actually want to be in this live stream enough for me to flip the timer for another 30 minutes. So I appreciate you guys. Seriously, it's not any big deal for me to stay here for another 30 minutes on my end. I just really appreciate it that you actually want me to stay here for another 30 minutes. So thank you for that. Means a lot to me. So let's keep talking. Let's throw up some topics, everybody. Throw up some topics. We've talked all about the stock market, what I think will happen in the stock market here. We've talked about Jerome Powell and what I think of his comments recently. These are all the things I wanted to talk about in regards to the stock market here in 2021. I think it stays flat. Or it starts to deflate. And if the stock market goes up, I'm going to be looking at the dollar index crashing. So those are my ways of looking at the current stock market here. And it's just, there's so much smoke and mirrors going on. There's so much smoke and mirrors. Platinum. I'm extremely bullish on platinum because at the end of the day, I consider platinum to be money. And I consider it to be a major industrial metal. I don't consider it is a major industrial metal, but at the same time, it can also be a monetary metal. And I think that platinum should be worth more than gold. That's my personal take on it. So if you know my channel, you know I'm silver, platinum, Bitcoin, gold. That's the order I hold my portfolio and the percentages. Majority silver, platinum, Bitcoin. Platinum and Bitcoin are almost the same now, actually, because Bitcoin's gone up a lot and I've been accumulating more Bitcoin. So platinum and Bitcoin are pretty close now, but silver is my #1 position by a landslide. So those are my places I want to be. Meme stocks. I thought you said mine stocks. Mining stocks. I am interested in like something that I have been researching recently, but I haven't found anything that I want to get into with like major conviction. Is I want to look into like lithium mining stocks, cobalt mining stocks, stocks that Elon Musk might be considering purchasing. So if he's not going to purchase the actual metal or the actual asset or commodity, maybe he's going to purchase the actual mining company and mine it himself. So I am looking pretty close at undervalued mining companies that are not only silver mining companies, but like cobalt mining companies. That interests me. And like understanding the supply and demand of certain metals is interesting to me, more so than just silver mining stocks, which I agree. If there was one silver mining stock that I like, it would be with Keith's company. I don't know why it's slipping my mind. First Majestic Silver. I like that mining company. I think they're pretty straightforward with their financials and everything. I don't think they hide anything behind smoke and mirrors. So First Majestic would be really the silver mining company I'd be interested in. But when it comes to like meme stocks, it's the interesting part about meme stocks, and this is very relevant to these NFTs. People are buying stocks right now as collectibles. They really are. So they're collecting their stock. Like people used to buy in like Warren Buffett's heyday, they would buy stocks that were undervalued on their price earnings ratio. You'd use Graham's principles to buy your stocks, Graham's law. You don't use that anymore. You're just, these meme stocks and everything is really just getting on, considering the fact that you own a stock, a collectible. It's like an NFT. Like stocks are literally turning into NFTs where you just are holding a collectible in the digital realm. It's like, how many stocks are issued? This many. Okay, well, I want some. I want those collectibles. There's this many of them issued. I want some of them. They're not valued on any real anything. Like really to take it into consideration, I mean, Tesla has the potential to grow into $1 trillion business, with the places that they are. But if you look at the tech industries as a whole, it's like these aren't being, and Tesla is one of them where it's wildly overvalued. Where if Tesla is able to make more money off of, this is how it's so, I can't even keep up with my head. Like I can't keep up with my brain to get out this information out of my mouth. It's like, it blows my mind that Tesla is able to announce secondaries. Their stock is so overpriced. They announce secondaries and make their stock have more value by taking your money out of the stock market, by diluting, by doing a poof Powell. Like Elon Musk and Tesla did a Jerome Powell. They made their Tesla printer go burr, if we're being honest here. And I'm a big fan. Don't take this the wrong way. Big fan of Elon Musk, big fan of Tesla, like total fanboy. But the truth is, Tesla made the Tesla printer go burr, and they issued stocks and sold stocks to the public, took that capital and put it into their treasury, which was genius, because now they have a $15-20 billion treasury of our money, or stockholders' money, because they issued those shares. They diluted the stocks, announced secondaries, multiple secondaries, 5 billion, I think it was like 5 billion, 3 billion, something like bunch of secondaries, took in way more money than they've ever made in profit in their entire lifespan of a company. Way more money they took in from the market into their treasury. So basically, they just made this money appear out of thin air. It wasn't like they sold a bunch of cars and put a $15 billion treasury in. No, they issued shares through a secondary and poofed that money into their treasury. Now they have that money in their treasury, which puts them in a very, very good position. Then they go and they buy the Bitcoin and they do all this stuff with that money. So they actually did a poof Powell at Tesla. So they're kind of like they are like a meme stock in a way but they're very smart. This is something I think GameStop should do, where they need to get that money. It's like, take the money out of the market and put it in the treasury. Like, do it already. Excuse me. If I was in charge of GameStop, I would have done that. But that's really what they did at Tesla. The Tesla made the Tesla printer go burr, and that's why they're sitting on that treasury. But what's mind-boggling is Tesla not only made that $15 billion off of issuing stock, but then they made more money off of the $1.5 billion in Bitcoin than they made off of their cars as well. So they made way like 15, 20x more money out of issuing shares to the open public to put that money in their treasury than they did off of making their actual item that they make. of making battery packs and making Teslas, they made 20x, let's say, more, maybe more than that, by just taking the money out of the stock market and putting it in their treasury. But then on top of it, they made more money off of the Bitcoin. They parked only 10% of their treasury in off of how much stuff they've produced in their entire, 15 years of life that Tesla has been around, the 15-year lifespan of Tesla. So they have made astronomical amounts, orders of magnitude, more amounts of money off of the pixie dust money of the stock market and the pixie dust money of Bitcoin going up than they made off of their actual items that they produce. And that alone should be like a foundation of this entire talk. That should be so relevant to this entire talk on how we have an economy that takes money from thin air and pretends like it's doing extremely well, but realistically, they're not making anything. Tesla's making stuff, but they're not making nearly the same amount of profit off of their items that they are making off of Bitcoin and off of announcing secondaries and taking money out of the stock market into their treasury. That is like an exact summary of everything we've talked about in this live stream. That alone. And that's just something that's why I like doing these live streams with everybody in here, because I actually get into topics that I didn't even plan to bring up, but that is so relevant. That is so relevant. If you wonder what I mean, and keep in mind, I'm not an economist. I'm not even a college graduate. I didn't even get my AA degree. I dropped out with like 56 units done or 58 units done. I didn't even finish my AA degree. I couldn't handle it. I couldn't be there anymore. Ironically enough, as an econ professor, I really didn't like being there with. But anyway, if it confuses you when I say things like, or if Peter Schiff says things like, well, an economy is supposed to make stuff. For an economy to thrive, they have to make stuff and trade it for stuff, and they have to do it well. And then their economy is doing very well because there's a trade-off of stuff, tangible stuff. Like, what do you make? We're pretty good at producing, crops and stuff, and we would trade that with China, and they would trade us stuff for, our food items, soybeans and things like that. But we're not producing nearly enough to compensate for the amount of money that's been injected into the economy. But when we inject money into the economy, we're injecting it into the entire world because we're the reserve currency of the world. So how do these other countries look at that? They got to be somewhat disappointed because they look to the U.S. as some sort of stabilized, place of sanity with the money, and that's why they consider us the reserve currency. But we print money from thin air, and our stock market artificially goes up, not based on more Teslas being made. Tesla isn't valued at over 500 billion based on them making more Teslas. No, they are valued over 500 billion based on pixie dust money poofed into our economy and people holding the stock like it is a collectible item. That's what our stock market is valued in. So if you wonder like when Peter Schiff is saying, we don't make stuff, we don't make the stuff to really prove that we're worth this much in our economy and that our economy is actually doing well. We don't actually make it. We just pretend it. That's what literally that whole situation with Tesla, how they make so much more money off of issuing shares to the public and doing secondaries and off of their holdings. They made more money. They made orders of magnitude more money by taking in secondary money from the stock market. And then they made more money off of 10% of the money that they made off of taking it from the stock market off of Bitcoin than they did. It's like pixie dust money taken from pixie dust money to add to pixie dust money to prove that the actual real item isn't nearly as much of the valuation as the pixie dust money. That makes any sense at all. Keep in mind, I'm not Janet Yellen. I'm not an economist, but I can tell you that that's wild. That's wild. Scant City, costs more energy to build a Tesla car than what happens in the save on carbon emissions. People are fools. Welcome to our uneducated population. I'm in a weird space with Tesla where the interesting thing about the electric car and why I was bullish on, I've been bullish on Tesla since it was like 2013, 2011. I was watching Tesla cars when I was like 18 years old. That was actually the first stock I ever bought was, I believe it was GTAT, which was like the Sapphire company that there was like some speculation. And then I thought I was a genius because Apple was going to buy their Sapphire glass from this GTAT. They ended up going bankrupt and whatnot. But Tesla I've been watching for a very long time, and the reason I like Tesla, their products, it isn't about the green aspect of it for me. It's that, and it's a good thing. I get it, but what I really care about with the Tesla cars is that it's better. It's not just about being green with Tesla. The cars are better. They're better than the current cars on the market. They're faster. They're more efficient. It makes more sense to not have to go to gas stations and just plug it into the wall. The staying in the lane, the auto steering, the autopilot. These are all things that, the car is just better in every way, shape, and form than the gas counterpart. They've made a better technology. And Elon Musk has gone on the record saying that. Like, if you want to really enter a marketplace, you have to be better. You can't just beat them by a little bit. The product has to be dramatically better than your competition. So when you take out the green part of it and the carbon emissions of electric cars and all of that, and you look at what the product actually is, the product is dramatically better than any other car on the market. At least that's my opinion. I've driven these cars. I've tested them out. I want one. The product is better. That being said, an electric car used to be wildly expensive to make an electric car, and the cost point has gone down. Whether people believe that they're profitable or not, the cost of the electric car has dramatically dropped, and we can all agree on that, to make an electric car. I think that solar panels and electric cars, the technology improves and improves. Like right now, is it emitting more carbon than a gas counterpart? Probably. But could that technology evolve into something that is all renewable energy, that is all solar panels to battery packs to electric cars? Could that actually happen? And I think the answer is yes. I think over time the technology improves. Is the technology there right now? No. So if you're driving a Tesla and you're saying, I'm the greenest person of anybody else in my neighborhood, I'm the most green energy person, I think it is true to say that they actually consume more carbon, have a larger carbon footprint than the gas counterpart. But I think in the process of time, it might actually be true that it is helping more than it's hurting in a way. That makes sense. It might take 10, 20 years, but technology kind of evolves over time. That's how I feel about it. So I think that right now, though, if people are saying, like, if they're really bragging and they're saying like, oh, I have the greenest car in my neighborhood, and they're really doing that, it's like, not yet. You actually probably have a larger carbon footprint unless you have solar panels on your house. If you have solar panels on your house that trickle charge a battery pack, ironically that Tesla sells both, and then you charge your car off that battery and you're fully self-sustaining, then you can be the person saying I'm the greenest person in my neighborhood, I think. But not quite there yet. I think it'll take a while. But here's something interesting about a Tesla, and I think that you're getting to this, Stussy in the comments. I think this is what you mean by it. There's a big argument against Bitcoin saying, if there was no electricity, if the electricity ran out and the internet went down, those are the two things with Bitcoin. Can we agree on that? If you're against Bitcoin, those are the two things. Electricity goes out, internet goes out. Those are the two things. Imagine your Tesla is linked to Starlink, and they've already been deploying these satellites up there. So imagine your Tesla has its own battery in it and its own satellite communications with Starlink satellites. So it is Wi-Fi enabled to its own satellite system. And it sounds wild, but Elon Musk is very capable and is actually doing this. So your Tesla has battery, has electricity to it. It's already in the car. So it's already charged, and it has, a pretty large battery. If you're staying in the car, probably has a battery that'll last weeks. Well enough time to send out any money that you needed to send out. But if you have the battery stored in the car and then also the satellites that have the internet, then technically those two arguments against Bitcoin are invalid. I mean, realistically, if Bitcoin could have, like, Michael Saylor is considered like the Giga Chad, right? The Giga Chad, he is the ultimate Bitcoin guy. Realistically, to have Elon Musk on the team of Bitcoin is like best partner ever. Hey, bro, best partner ever. Like, if Bitcoin had somebody that could really help Bitcoin succeed, Elon Musk is like the best partner ever. Like, if you're doing an audit of who could be the best partner for your new payment network, best guy, richest guy in the world, has a rocket company to deploy his own satellites, has the biggest electric company in the world. Like, yeah, probably the best partner ever. Best partner ever. Willie Nelson says man-made global warming is a non-issue. Are you serious? No, I think that there's definitely a major carbon footprint of humans. Like, I definitely do think that. But I think that we would be foolish to say that we can just change it overnight. So I think that it's going to take 10, 20 years to get to a renewable world, maybe longer than that. But I think that we should go in that direction. That's what I was saying. So chill on that. Chill on that. I'm not the type of person says. I think humans have a pretty bad carbon footprint, and I think that we're a rough group of living things on this planet. We have a bad carbon footprint. Carbon is good for the planet, brah. So he goes back and forth now. You're saying it's. I don't know what you're saying, Willie. But I think that over time technology will continue to improve. And my point was about the electric car is that it's not about just the carbon footprint or any of that stuff with the electric car. It's that the technology is dramatically better. Like we talk about this with Bitcoin. Like what would it take for me to sell my Bitcoin, or Michael Saylor, this is his point, to sell his Bitcoin, something better coming out? You know, what would it take for you to get off of your bike? Something better to drive by, like a car. And you go, oh, actually, I will take the car instead of the bike. It's better. What would make you trade your car? Well, something better, like a plane. You know, when something better comes out, you have to go to what's better. And the technology behind these electric cars is just dramatically better. Their crash ratings dramatically better. The technology to save people's lives in these autopilots and everything, that they can save people's lives. I mean, if every car has this technology in it, I would imagine, you know, deaths from auto accidents to dramatically go down. I would imagine if that technology gets adopted, could really save a lot of lives. Because at the end of the day, I'm less afraid of the autopilot car than I am of the 16-year-old looking down at their cell phone and drifting into the other lane. I'm far more afraid of that than I am of the autopilot car. Especially if they kind of are like magnets that repel off each other, if they all have the same technology. It's kind of a long conversation, but I think that it's just the technology is just better. It's not just about the green energy aspect of it. It's just that it's better. I would like it makes a lot of sense to just be able to plug your car in and not have to go to a gas station. I would rather have my car charge overnight, take a night to charge, than to have to deal with driving to the gas station. I think that's a positive. I don't think that's a negative. Some people would say, I want to go to the gas station, fill up in 20 minutes and be able to split. I like the idea of never having to wait in line for a gas pump, you know, or never having to worry about the fluctuations in gas prices, and just have solar panels on my roof, trickle charging a battery pack, and just be able to charge my car directly at the house like I charge my phone overnight. I think that's brilliant. So I just think the technology is better, all in all. But that doesn't mean to say that I think Tesla's at a fair valuation. I think Tesla's wildly overvalued. And the whole point of talking about Tesla at all right now wasn't even about talking about their products. It's just about talking about how they took money from the stock market and they literally took money from their shareholders, put that money into their treasury, and then made more money off of the treasury position than they made off of selling their actual cars, which actually makes the company look better on a balance sheet. So wild. The Tesla printer go burr, print more shares, take money out of the market, put it into treasury, invest treasury, make more money off of treasury and shareholders' money than making off of the cars and the battery pack. Like such a wild world we live in. That's like such a wild world we live in. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. Ron, I agree. I mean, they did. They diluted the shares, took the money from the shareholders, parked it in the treasury. I mean, I could say this a million times, but I think everybody gets the point. It's just wild that they did that. Totally wild. And it really is completely relevant to the entire state of the American economy. It really is. Exactly what Tesla did with their money to make money out of thin air is so relevant to the American economy, where they produce a little bit. They produce a little bit. They make some cool cars, and they make some profit off of these cars. And they make some great battery packs, and they make some profit off of these battery packs. But they make orders of magnitude more off of the fake pixel money taken from the system and put into the treasuries. They make a little bit of stuff. Not nearly as much as what they take from all of this fake pixie money. Really so relevant to the entire state of the American economy. So relevant. Their Bitcoin will pay the shareholders back 10 times. Maybe, Stussy, maybe. I agree with you that if I was in the same position as the CFO, I would have done the exact same thing. If my stock was over $900, or I think it was like 7, somewhere between 7 and 900 when they did that big offering, you'd be foolish to not do that. And that's why I've criticized GameStop. It's like, take the money out of the market because you're actually improving your bottom line. By taking that capital and being able to take it out of the market and park it in your treasury, it actually makes your bottom line look really good. It makes you have more assets, and you actually it makes Tesla look like a better stock to own because they have all of this free capital to do something with. It's like, I want to invest in a company with $20 billion or $15 billion of free capital and able to do things like buy 1.5 billion in Bitcoin. That sounds pretty interesting to me. Try to make that company go bankrupt. They're sitting on 15 billion. It's going to take a while. You know, the whole argument for Bitcoin, for Tesla, was that they're going to go bankrupt. When you take 15, 20 billion out of the marketplace and park it in your treasury, it's kind of hard to go bankrupt. Completely destroys the short thesis by parking the money directly in the treasury. So I commend the move. It just is like a comment to show the state of the current economy and what our companies are doing to make money. Kind of the more macro picture of it is what I'm talking about right now. But I think it was a brilliant decision. I would have done the same thing. I would have done literally the same exact thing. If I could do it, I would absolutely do that. So nothing against them for doing it. But it was a brilliant decision. But it just is kind of James T, he says like a nice thing. James T says like a nice thing. And then he says like a bunch of troll comments. And then a nice thing. And then a bunch of troll comments. So love you, James. But calm down, man. Calm down. Sergio H says, Rob, you're my favorite precious metals doom gloom bug. Say hi to me. Hi, Sergio. I see your comment. Hi, Sergio. You got it. Yeah, James, I don't like being a moderator, but don't copy and paste in the comment boards. Just stop. If you keep doing it, I think the thing is, I will do whatever the people tell me to do. This is their community, so if the comment boards say to turn you off, we'll turn you off, man. We'll do it. So the comments, you got to be nice to the people in the comments over there, because they have controlling interest of that forum board over there. If they say it, we'll do it. Stussy says the macro has always been park your assets where they make the most money. I agree with you. I totally agree with you. Don't take what I'm saying about Tesla the wrong way. I think that Tesla is making themselves look like more of an appealing of most of the tech sector. Tesla is making themselves look more and more appealing as a stock to hold in the stock market because they have capital and they're doing smart things with their capital. It makes them a lot more appealing. So everything they did is smart. And you can't, regardless of anybody, see the argument with Tesla was that they're going to go bankrupt. So they were making the argument that Tesla's going to go to zero. That was what Jim Chanos and even Michael Burry, I think the guy from The Big Short, was against Tesla for a while. He might still be against Tesla. There's some big shorts that were betting on Tesla not just going down, but if you remember before all of this, before the Treasury, they were betting on them going bankrupt, which is meaning Tesla's going to go to zero. And that's why Elon Musk was making those joking Twitter posts where he put like bankrupt on he literally, when I say bankrupt, he wrote it bankrupt on a piece of cardboard and sat next to a Tesla. They actually thought Tesla was going to zero. And now, because they have a $20 billion or $15 billion, somewhere in that range treasury, because Bitcoin went up somewhere in 15, 20 billion range in their treasury, you can't say they're going to go bankrupt. So their argument is completely invalid now because of what they did with the treasury. So does that make them more appealing as a stock to hold? Absolutely. Makes them more appealing. Now, are they worth the 500 some odd billion that they're valued at? Is it like 600 billion right now? Let me check. Where did Tesla close out? I like to look at market caps. Like, I don't look at the actual stock price. I look at their market cap. Tesla right now is at a $628.6 billion market cap. So it's $628 billion on their market cap. It's pretty high. It's pretty high on the market cap, but having that big of a treasury and parking it in smart places does improve your bottom line and makes you look more valuable as a buy in the stock market. And I don't see that many companies doing what they're doing. I think it's very smart. I think GameStop should have taken a lot of money off of the market like they did. But yeah, in the long term, if they do smart things like buy Bitcoin and Bitcoin continues to go up, they're definitely helping the bottom line for their shareholders. And what's interesting about their buy in Bitcoin, I believe if Bitcoin goes down and they lose money, they're able to wash that and consider it like a write-off in a way. So really by them buying Bitcoin, it was kind of like a win-win situation. I forget I had this accountant guy that was telling me about that. But I think that them buying Bitcoin was really like a win-win situation. So if they're doing smart things with this capital, which I imagine they're doing very smart things with this capital, yeah, it makes them look a lot more appealing. But overall in the entire stock market, I don't buy the price to earnings ratios. I think people are buying stocks mainly to just have like an NFT collectible. And that gets into the argument about NFTs, but I wanted to make its own video on NFTs. But overall, I do think that there is a great place for these non-fungible tokens. Like there's a great place for them. And that is attaching them to an actual tangible asset. Like attaching the NFT to prove that you own a tangible item is brilliant. But considering the NFT itself to be the value is wrong, in my opinion. And that's what we're doing in the stock market, where we just consider the stock to be the NFT that holds the value. I think that that's wrong. The funny thing is Lee Key Cox says, so Tesla gets government money and then use it to buy Bitcoin. In a nutshell, I mean, it's crazy. The story of Tesla is so wild. It is such a wild story. Like the fact that it's all happened in that way. Yes, they did get incentivized. They did make money in that way. They did pay back this money. They did pay back, but they did get incentives for electric cars and everything like that. And so they kind of, I don't know if they would have succeeded without those incentives. I don't think they would have succeeded, but they did. But then the main thing they did is they take the money from the shareholders and then park that money in Bitcoin. So completely wild, completely wild. But that being said, everybody, we are at an hour and almost 45 minutes, an hour and 42 minutes. So let's get to a few more comments here and then let's sign out. I really appreciate everybody for being in these live streams. We stayed live for another 30 minutes just because we voted to stay live longer. We dropped another 30-minute timer down. I hope you know that I will stay live if you guys want me to stay live. At some point, I got to get a little bit of sleep and eat a little bit of food. It's almost 10 o'clock over here. So gonna sign out pretty soon. Wait, Zame said he did a super chat. I missed your super chat. Hang on. Scant City says costs more to try and save money making more emissions, which is totally costs more to try and save money making more emissions, which is totally the total different than the reason for the car at all. Go America. I mean, it's pretty wild, Scant City. It's pretty wild. The Tesla story is pretty wild. The technology is pretty impressive with these electric cars, and it might save a lot of people's life. So there's that aspect to it too, the whole autopilot and everything. Shoot, there's a super chat that I missed. I can't scroll up that high for some reason. It won't let me scroll up anymore. Can you write it again? Zane says, I notice, I see your comments right now. So say what the comment was again, Zane. I'm watching for you right now, but I can't scroll up high enough. But I remember you did do that super chat. I missed it. I'm sorry, man. But I'm watching for you right now. So if you could repeat that question, I'll answer it right now. I said, talk about 1913 silver ounce value versus today's silver ounce. That's a long conversation there. You're talking about like what silver's true value is when you look up like the US, is it like the debtclock.org? The true value of silver is if you valued it for its true value against the dollar, it is like staggering how much more value silver has. Like it's hard to wrap your mind around when you look up the US. I think it's US Debt Clock, usdebtclock.org. It'll blow your mind looking at all those statistics, and I believe that's what you're talking about. Yeah, it was when you said talk about topics. I should have. Well, I see it now. I should make a video specifically on that. Talk about the year of 1913 silver. Okay. I thought you were talking about like how much silver per. If you go to usdebtclock.org, it'll show you the things that I was just bringing up there. It's pretty wild. It's pretty wild. It just is. The detachment from silver to its true value based off of diluted dollars is like mind-boggling. And I would just recommend, rather than me ramble about it for a long time, I'd recommend go to usdebtclock.org, and it'll show you in the bottom, I think it's in the bottom right-hand side, the true value of silver, true value of gold. The dollar has lost, I believe it's like 98 to 99% of its value since its inception. So since the dollar was created, it's lost about 99% of its buying power. So if it was in silver, it would have held a lot of that buying power. And so that US debt clock thing shows how much value it would have held over that time, to kind of summarize it. But yeah, it's wildly undervalued, and it's been falsely suppressed for a very long time. And I think it's just a matter of time before we see silver really skyrocket. So in my opinion, it's like, to summarize this video, because I do got to close the video out and get back home. I think that the best thing I can possibly do with my capital, just talking about what I can do with my capital, is park it into a stable place that I think will appreciate over time and isn't a deflationary environment. That's the key. If there's one last thing to say, if you've watched this entire live stream and you wanted to get something out of it kind of summarized, parking money in a deflationary spot is a terrible place to be. So if you have your money in cash, I would consider the money in dollars if I had no plan. Now, if I have a plan with those dollars, it makes things different. If I'm using it for cash flow for my business, those types of things, that's a different story. But if I'm just sitting on cash, and I think that it is a good idea to just sit on dollars that are being printed, you are holding a deflationary asset, which means it is losing value over time while the currency is being inflated. So that's the last thing you'd want to do. And by leaving money in the stock market, and if it stays flat while they're diluting the currency, well, stocks are valued in dollars. So the currency is being diluted. So if you see your stock trading at a certain price, it's being valued in dollars that are being diluted. So you're technically doing the same type of scenario where you're holding your money in a savings. And if these stocks are trading at like collectible valuations, you're not really buying it based on their price to earnings ratios. You're buying it on it being a collectible pretty much in a lot of the tech sector, especially. Then you're technically just sitting on a deflationary asset, especially if the stock market continues to stay flat or go down. And then if the stock market stays flat and goes down on top of the dollar losing its value and crashing, then you're really in a bad place. You're in a really bad place if that happens. Then it's a double whammy of the stock going down and the dollar going down at the same time. I think it's inevitable that one of the two will happen, if not both of the two, where the stocks go down and the dollars go down, or stocks stay flat or go slightly up while the dollar crashes. I think it's going to be one of the two. If I was going to summarize it, I think it's going to be one of those two things. That's what I think happens in the near future. What am I doing to prepare myself? I'm parking my money in silver, parking my money in precious metals as a whole, mainly silver, and getting Bitcoin until I see stocks trade at a fair valuation. That's when I would get into the stock market. But right now, I don't see any stocks trading at fair valuations. That's my personal... Oh, Corrupted, man. Corrupted's in the house. I appreciate it. Have a great night. Much respect. I was watching UFC, so just arrived. Catch you next time. Corrupted. I really appreciate you, man. He's always so generous. I did get back to your DM, and I did send you an email, by the way, too, Corrupted. I don't know if you got back to me yet on the email. I'll check my email folder, but been crazy busy lately. But I did send you an email, I believe, so... And Scant City says, have a good night. Respect for all you do, brother. Respect to you as well for being here. Honestly, we got such an awesome community. Thank you guys so much for being part of this community. Thank you for being subscribed to this channel. We learn a lot in the comment sections. You know, it's not just about me talking. It's about us all talking together. And our comment sections, I mean, there's a lot of people live streaming. But our comment section in this specific place is pretty epic. It's a pretty epic conversation that we have in the comments section over there. And it really is, it's something special that we're able to do this. So thanks again so much for being here. I'm going to sign out. Have a great rest of your night. Have a great rest of your weekend as well. See you at the next video. I'm going to start posting like regular videos on the channel, but I want to make a point to at least do one live stream per week. You got that promise from me. At least one live stream per week, and it's probably going to be Friday night or Saturday night. one of those two, if not both of those nights. But at least one, we got to do at least one Silver Squirrel meeting per week in these live streams so we can all talk together. So if you're subscribed to the channel, look forward to that. I look forward to it. Thanks again for being here. Signing out. If you're not on my Instagram, at Rob Sultan on Instagram, shoot me a follow there. If you want to ask me a question there, shoot me a DM there. It'll be me that responds. Eventually, I'm getting back to all of them. And I also got on Twitter recently, and there's information on my Twitter, on my Instagram as well. So head on over there if you want to reach out to me. Would really appreciate that. Signing out. And don't forget to click that red subscribe button. All right. Have a great rest of your night.